where you're supposed to be.
Can Omnix feel fear?
Probably not. But the confidence shown by Forwals and by the rest of Melbourne Mavericks now in this matchup, I think is going to be a big problem for freshman class. They need to find a way to deal with this. And well, it has to happen now. It has to happen on Horizon Lunar Colony.
They either need to win this map or they lose the match. So it all comes down to Horizon. It's their pick. They definitely need to make something of it. And Winter just is like, heck, what's everyone doing? I'm going to get into the back line straight away. Base got very low on the Ana. Virginia about to go down as well.
There's a player on the point, but that is not going to eventuate into a tick. Mini will be able to get the contest in time.
Yep.
Very nicely done from Melbourne Mavericks. It's going to take Winter a little bit of time to get back, but freshman class, their own right, need quite a bit of time to regroup here. So no harm done for Melbourne Mavericks. Certainly a bit for freshman class, as they will be forced back to start things off. Already some time wasted. Not much of an ult advantage gained, actually, for Melbourne Mavericks out of that one, though.
That was a very quick fight. This time, the high ground's going to go... They're going to go up to them, not wait for Melbourne to come back down. But Virginia's still going to get found out early on. Koi at least does bring it back.
Yeah,
but he's going to get chased out there. Yeah. There's only so much you can do up against a Winston as a Genji, that is for sure.
1-for-1 trades are fine right now for freshman class. They do return to the fight a lot quicker than Melbourne Mavericks do. Koi just wants to build this Dragon Blade up, and that'll probably be it if Nox doesn't get back in time. Forwals does have Transcendence though, but with the Nano Blade for freshman class available, Transcendence not such a factor.
Here we go, Nano Blade comes out straight into the back line. Fluoro, the first one down, looking for another, but you can't find Forwals when Forwals is invulnerable. Koi eventually does go down for Oily, so 2 ultimates used to find 1 pick, but the rest of the team now are going to go down. So that was definitely not as successful, perhaps, as freshman class would have hoped.
Yeah, obviously a nice trans for Forwals, nothing too special there. Winter, a very good shield bash as well. And Bad is going to go flying off into the distance. Looks like the peanut butter jar that you see.
Yeah.
Oh, look at how long that stagger is going to last, though. That actually could not have gone better for Winter now in hindsight.
Goes a very long way.
To the moon! Oh, wait, hang on.
Already there, mate.
Doesn't work like that.
Such a noob. Right, so Melbourne looking pretty good right now. Exerts, though, going to have this EMP ready. Let's see what he can do with the Sombra. Ral's going to be popped. Looking for a great EMP just to start this one off.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah. How many people are going to hit there? Is the answer 2? It's certainly not the result that they were chasing, I don't suspect. Self-destruct coming through. Oily going to go down to Koi. That's a decent pick. Virginia going to pop Primal Rage and jump on in as well. FMC still with 6 players alive, and Prowler now has that sound barrier, which is going to be used immediately. However, Forwals has not used the trance yet. The longer this goes, the more likely that Melbourne are going to win.
Yeah, Forwals doesn't even need to use the trance in this fight, Ben. It's too clean for Melbourne Mavericks at this point. And the kill from Fluoro onto Exerst to start things off really, I think, encapsulates how this match is going right now for freshman class. Everything that they seem to throw at Melbourne Mavericks is just thrown straight back at them twofold. Big change-up in terms of the roster. Koi had obviously swapped off the Genji earlier on, but now Exerst and Virginia are going to change things up. We're back to the default GOATS composition. See if that can work against Melbourne Mavericks, but I think it's just too little too late. There's too much of an advantage right now for Melbourne Mavericks.
They're going to try and take the high ground. As I say that, they're going to actually go outside.
Oh, Diva's gotten booped so far.
Guys,
they're resetting with 16 seconds left.
This isn't where the point is.
That's hard to deal with. I don't know if you wanted to go outside there, freshman class. Are they even going to be able to get to the point in time? Lucio literally has to run to the point. He can't even speed his team in and won't get there. There won't be anyone to contest the overtime.
Well, that certainly didn't go how FMC had hoped.
No.
Why take the high ground when you can just go die on the lunar service instead? And, well, 0% is the capture progress. Melbourne with probably no better opportunity to find themselves a quick match victory here. See that rocket on the ground, upside down?
Yep.
That's freshman right now.
It's not a very nice thing to say.
It's very quiet on the moon.
Hear that silence?
Yeah.
That's freshman's chance of winning this map.
Wow. it's funny when I say stuff, but you understand how this works. I say mean things. You have to counter them with nice things so people don't think that we're mean.
Bad cop, bad cop. That's how we roll, Ben.
Oh, how are we going to get any sort of...
We're bad boys.
God.
Hit me up for a bad boy signature on your bad boy hat.
Taking applications now. Season 1 2019 Overwatch Australia Contenders caster. Replacing Elfishguy, please.
That's right. Catch me in Overwatch League. I'm out of here. See you later, Ben.
Please take him. All right. Look, there's not much Melbourne needs to do here. However, it is not over, Jordan. I think at least once before we have seen two full holds on the first point of Horizon Lunar Colony. And now it's time for freshman class to replicate it. It's all up to you guys. You can do it.
Yep.
I don't want to say I have faith, but you can have faith in yourselves.
That's pretty BM in itself. Melbourne Mavericks will certainly have faith.
I predicted they would win, and this is how it's playing out. I said that Freshman had this. Oh well.
Well, there's some nice positioning being gained right now by Melbourne Mavericks. Gotta make sure that dive works out. Looks like it is. It's in unison. Very well coordinated.
And Base got the first one down. Nox having a pretty good game here on Zaya. That is for sure. They're looking for one more. There's the D-Mech. And well, GG Elfishguy.
Yeah.
That is HLC. That is the match.
That is GG
for FMC.
No re.
Yeah.
For Melbourne Mavericks. It's so easy for them in the end there as well to execute that dive. You can just see the coordination for Melbourne Mavericks is so much more solid than it is for freshman class. Freshman class, they're playing their own game individually. They're doing what they think is right. And, you know, the Winston will dive onto the supports. The Diva will try to peel for their own supports. But people are getting caught out of position. They're too spread out. They're not working as a unit. And for Melbourne Mavericks, they certainly are. They're diving in all together. They catch Base God off. He dies. Then the dive follows up onto the players on the point. And it's just a pack of cards falling over at that point. So, unfortunately for freshman class, not really much of a contest put up there on Horizon Lunar Colony. And I think the further it goes through this series, the more dominant it actually looks for Melbourne Mavericks.
I think...
That's probably my max play of the game, actually.
I think as a group, FMC spent more time on the surface of the moon, outside, than they did on the point, unattacked.
Yeah, maybe. They were floating around for quite a while.
Yeah. It's okay. Look, Melbourne, at the moment, just outplaying them today. Clearly not freshman classes day. Last week, they looked impressive. This week, it's going to be back to the drawing board, that is for sure. Whether it's just a matter of Melbourne being that little bit better. Maybe they just have their number. Maybe they looked at what FMC did last week and have been able to adapt what they need to do this week. Whatever it may be, look, put it to the side, have one more map, come out, try and get a win, make it 3-1, get a map on the board. Because they've already got 2 maps. Even though they've got a loss, they're actually sitting not that bad in the for and against, considering.
Yeah,
so if they can find one here...
They'd be looking for 4th position, maybe 3rd position if they get a bit lucky. Maybe get a good win over one of the teams that you wouldn't expect them to. Still a lot up in the air when that is the case. I mean, really at this point we're asking for a win over Order from freshman class, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But I think for me, the storyline to come from the rest of this series here on Route 66 being the final map is that Melbourne Mavericks last season, when they were Serenity, did get a 3-1 over Pixel.
Yep.
So this season, you want to go one better. You want to get that 4-0. You want to get the maximum points on the board, especially now with the susceptibility that Order has shown against Heist. If you can continue to get 4-0s, 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 that really is going to put your map win-loss in a much better position right now than where Heist and Order are sitting.
Yeah.
Sure, you still have matches against Heist and Order later on down the season, but if you can get that pressure of the maps on your side, could potentially pay off for you later on down the track.
And, you know, match results are only one part of this. Obviously, as we said, you're trying to get those maps on the board as well. You're trying to make your way through to the top 4 if you can. And if not, at worst, you want to find yourself at the end of the season in a good position as a team where you've improved, where you have an opportunity to prove that you deserve to be in Contenders, particularly heading into 2019, where there's that bit of a shake-up in terms of number of teams. Not everyone's going to get in this time around. Going to have to fight for your spot. So, see whether that whether they can prove across the next few weeks.
Yeah, Melbourne Mavericks to start off on the defense here.
I really can't wait to see Melbourne now up against Heist.
Yeah, that is going to be an absolutely massive game. Same for Melbourne against Order, to be honest. All of those matches could really decide how the top 3 does play out, and I think they will decide how the top 3 does play out.
We have a Bastion. What is going on? We saw this yesterday. We're seeing it again today. Freshman class going, you know what? We're not getting it our way right now, so let's see if we can make something cool work.
Nox not really in unison with his team there. Does go forward. Whoops. Cops a big amount of damage from Koi. It's the same strategy that Legacy tried to use yesterday, but I think Legacy were trying to use it against a Reinhardt shield. I think it'll be a bit more effective against the Winston bubble.
Yeah, Legacy got a lot of shots out yesterday, but didn't do all that much damage, unfortunately.
So far, so good for Melbourne Mavericks, though. They're holding strong. Koi has actually swapped off onto the Brigitte, so we're not going to be persisting with the Bastion shenanigans for too long.
Oily, low, almost getting D-Max, stays alive for now. Prolo down, Virginia down. Melbourne doing what they need to do here on defense, and well, they just throw out one sound barrier to clean it up. Now they'll fall back to a half-decent position. They're actually going to get in here. Be quiet, Jordan.
Yeah, you might not be expecting this as freshman class, although I think it has been spotted out by Virginia.
Let's try this one again. Going to try and fight them right as they come out of the cafe. Probably still holding on to their takeaway coffee. Certainly not how you want to get found out, that's for sure. Everyone's still alive on both sides. And freshman class at the team with the ultimates in their pocket now. We'll see whether they choose to use them, how they choose to use this. At least they're back onto the payload, but Mini going to use that Primal Rage and slow everything down. Virginia in the back line as well, doing what he does best. But here's the Graviton Surge. This one coming out from FMC. Self-destruct right on top. Finds two big kills. The Trance going to come out as well, and that'll secure them this payload. See how far they can get.
Much better fight out from freshman class this time. The Graviton Surge being the difference for them there. Mini will go over onto the Reinhardt here. And Nox is going to have a grab of his own. So there's still quite a lot to work with for Melbourne Mavericks on this defense. Once they do inevitably get back to point A, they most likely actually do win the next fight. Parallel's going to have so much of an impact, or is going to need to have so much of an impact with this sound barrier.
We're going to push out here. Yes, it's only Prowler to work with for freshman class. And self-destruct from Oily. I'm not sure of the positioning.
He got demeched, so he kind of had to use it to get the mech back. Wants
to stay into the fight. There's that sound barrier. Graviton Surge right over the top. Virginia actually goes down. And unfortunately, Prowler's sound barrier not going to have the impact that they need.
Nope, absolutely does not. Just a little bit too late to save the player that went down early. Fluoros came in at the perfect time to save Winter. So for now, Melbourne Mavericks will hold strong. Exerce does have another Graviton Surge, and that was what allowed freshman class to at least push through the corner. But is it going to be enough to allow them to actually push through point A right now? It doesn't really seem like it.
No, it does
Mini looking for Shatter.
This fight getting right out into the thick of things. Earth Shatter comes through, finds Bad, and the DMAC will come through.
Bad's just going to reset. Smart move.
40 seconds on the clock, Jordan. They have got 63.13 meters. For those of you who don't metric, it's not very far.
I don't think Melbourne Mavericks wins this fight. Oily needs to eat the grab.
Yeah, okay. Would be the first time. Potential for the self-destruct as well if Oily can stay alive. Looking for a big Graviton Surge coming out from Exerce. Throws it through. It is not eaten, but the Trance is on top. How's that going to play out? No one goes down. Everyone's still alive here for Melbourne. Oily has a self-destruct, throws that one through. Surely, there we go, comes out. Looking for a number of kills. One will do. Prowler down. That's a big pick. Looking for the second. See you later, Virginia. Melbourne surely win this fight, hold the payload, and stop it in its tracks.
Winter somehow continually manages to survive on that Brigitte. He hasn't gone down at all. And that's such a big problem for freshman class. They haven't managed to get an impact out of their self-destruct combo. And this time, Melbourne Mavericks, again, are going to hold strong. We're on Route 66, and it seems much the same as Horizon Lunar Colony.
Virginia goes down overtime, and almost so does this match, Elfishguy. Route 66 looking like it's going to go the way of every other map in this matchup. Melbourne Mavericks, they're 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, looking for another 1-0.
Yeah.
Pretty low scores. We haven't seen this for a while, actually.
No, definitely not. This is like domination that we would have expected out of sort of, I don't know, season 2. Oh, I don't know. maybe against Bin Chickens, any team against Bin Chickens, for example. Order versus Bin Chickens last season, I think, would have been something along the lines of this. Just trying to remember what team was in what group. But, I mean, Melbourne Mavericks, we wouldn't have put on the same kind of a pedestal, at least not yet, as a team like Order. And for freshman class, not on the same pedestal as, I mean, the lowly pedestal that Bin Chickens were.
Yeah, but I don't think it's like that. We saw them last week. They played quite well, or at least the result said that they played quite well.
Well, I think what we're just seeing is Melbourne Mavericks really coming into their own as a roster. We had the flashes of that in Season 2. I mean, even to an extent in Season 1, the core of the Melbourne Mavericks roster, the Serenity roster, was... They were not amazing. Let's get that out of the way. But they did have their moments. They certainly had their moments. There was individual plays and times where you were like, oh, that was pretty nice. Season 2, they start to actually get map wins, match wins. And now it seems like Melbourne Mavericks are a force to really be reckoned with in Overwatch Contenders, in this region at least. So I really wonder how far Melbourne Mavericks can actually push the issue, how strong this team actually can be in this season of Overwatch Contenders, because there's no doubt in my mind that they are a very solid team. But how solid are they going to be when they go up against Heist, when they go up against Order? So far, essentially, what they have been doing is beating up on the lesser teams.
They've had literally the easiest start by the looks of things.
At least in Group B. But once they get against those stronger teams, that's really where we're going to get a great idea of actually where Melbourne Mavericks really do
I guess if you feel like you've got a chance at taking it to them, like taking a map or two, like maybe even beating them, like Heist did this morning, you want to start off with the easier teams. Having said that, Minnie's going to go down there first to bad. At least Winter will be able to trade this one back.
For Melbourne Mavericks.
Yeah, the payload continues to spawn in their favor. Winter goes down, however, maybe FMC can stabilize this first fight, find themselves an advantage. Koi playing well, getting nice and aggressive in their face, precisely what you want to do with the Brig. Look at this already. Exerst almost has that Graviton Surge available.
Well, that's a pretty bad stagger for freshman class. Exerst with the
grab here. It is literally a bad with the double D stagger, mate.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got both of your tanks down. The grab doesn't really hit too much, and to be honest, there isn't much of a follow-up even available for freshman class.
It hits everyone, but all it does is it pulls all of Melbourne together, and they continue forward. No one can follow up with any sort of damage. The payload getting pushed here by Baubles, literally the only one on the team not in the midst of battle. And now it's going to come down to the two tanks to try and make something of this. Unfortunately, they both fall at almost exactly the same time. And GG, Melbourne 4-0 over freshman class. An easy day in the office for them. Yeah, that might be one of the quickest matches we've actually seen in Contenders this season. I think even Sydney Drop Bears up against Mind Freak might have lasted a little longer than that one. But for Melbourne Mavericks, that's really great. You know, they didn't allow any quarter to freshman class, not a single real position where I thought freshman class might even have an into any of those maps. It was just across the board, Melbourne Mavericks looked so much stronger. Just outplayed, obviously. It's just a little bit better than FMC today. Last week has given us hope, though, for this X-Pixel roster. And last season, these, as a team, they played pretty well. They may not have got the top results, but they certainly improved. And I don't want this freshman class team to let this result today feel like too much of a setback or, you know, hurt them too much. They still have 3 more matches here in the regular season of Season 3 in Australia, and there's a lot that they can still prove. Yeah, I thought definitely a lot of things to work on for freshman class. I think the team coordination was definitely lacking today. Jump in and have a look at some of the macro game there for freshman class. I don't know if they have a coach, but I think that's what I'd be having a look at this point. For me, freshman class, you know, I'm not expecting them to be world beaters here in Overwatch Contenders. They're not supposed to be the best team in the region or close to the best team in the region. It's still a rise for freshman class. They need to build into this season, into not even just this season, but considering how things are going to be next season, they need to really be thinking long-term, I think, as freshman class. If they want to stay together as a roster, they need to be making sure that they use this entire season as really solid practice for potentially probably making their way through the relegation system next season through trials once again. Yeah, well, if you're a Melbourne Mavericks fan, feeling pretty good today. A quick 4-0 for them, an easy week, almost a week off. Really, that's they were not pushed at all, unfortunately. So every map obviously counts, so they're going to get the win on the board. They're going to get 4 maps on the board as well. Going to be very useful later on in the season, particularly when you think about who they may end up going against in Group A. But for now, it's our Macca's play of the game. A McDonalds Australia play of the game between freshman class and the Melbourne Mavericks. Very deserving play here from Nox, who, to be fair, really, even though Melbourne weren't really contested at all across this match, it certainly felt to me like here on Ruins, it was all about Nox.
Yeah, it definitely was Nox's map. I don't think you can necessarily just say this one particular play. I think you get that whole map and you'd say that map is his play of the game because really Nox absolutely dictated how Ruins played out and completely cleaned things up on the Widowmaker. So for me, while that individual play wasn't necessarily so fantastic, but the whole map as a whole was really great from Nox. Yeah,
it was a great play across the board. And considering, I apologize, Nox, I said, oh, I don't think this Widow's going to do that much. And then you literally get the Macca's player of the game. So I owe you a cheeseburger as well. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, you can collect that one at LAN if you make it, which I do think at this point Melbourne Mavericks have a pretty reasonable chance of doing. I'd put them up there in terms of Group B, that's for sure, but still, they've got to play through the playoffs. There's still question marks as to whether or not they'll be able to beat the teams in Group A. Right now, things are going very nicely for Melbourne Mavericks, though.
Yep, well, we are 2 down, 1 to go. Next up, it is Breakaway up against Kanga. This one potentially could be a little bit closer than what we just saw. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, at least another 4 maps of Overwatch. We'll see you soon.